Hey everybody, I'm Jonathan Shaw, founder of Decoding Pain, and in this video I'm going to share with you the third biggest cause of pain that people suffer from. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you would have heard me talking about the causes of pain, and there are only actually three causes. In fact, I highly recommend going back and looking at the video called The Secret to Solving Chronic Pain. And in that video, I show you the difference between a cause and a symptom, and it's not what traditional medicine look at. I look at the cause of pain very differently because there are only three causes of pain. So I know you may have been told the cause of your pain is sciatica or arthritis or a slipped disc or a muscle tear, but those are not causes, those are symptoms. The three causes of pain are poor movement, lack of flexibility, and a biological stress. And in this video, we're going to go over the poor movement and what I mean by that. So when I say poor movement, it's usually known as posture. But I don't mean posture as in standing up straight and sitting properly and correctly with a book on your head and a corset. I don't mean that. I mean the way we use our bodies and the way we move our bodies. Often what happens, because we're not taught, we tend to use our bodies in ways that cause the muscles to tighten and tense and lock, and we don't realize it's doing that. But when the body tightens and locks, that tends to be where we get pain because of poor movement, and the muscles tighten and our body gets more tense, and then it doesn't move correctly. Now, the best way to describe this is to actually go over a couple of case histories with you. So one very obvious case history that springs into mind is a blind man I treated many years ago, and he lost the use of his knee. He injured his knee, and he couldn't use it. He used to walk 3 hours a day with his guide dog, not his blind dog. That'd be silly. With his guide dog, and he injured it somehow, and the hospital physio couldn't get better. No one knew what was wrong, and he couldn't walk to the end of his gait anymore. It was that bad. And when I went to look at him, the reason he was injured, the reason the injury wasn't healing, was because he kept walking around with the knee bent. So because he held the knee bent because it was painful, which is a natural response, any of us would do that. So for the first few months he held the knee bent, and because it was painful. But the problem was that over time, that bend in the knee actually then prevented the knee from healing. It actually stopped it. So what I had to do was actually loosen it and work it, and then gradually get him to straighten his knee. And as I did that, as he straightened his knee out, the knee began to heal. He could walk further and further, and he went back to walking his dog 3 hours a day again. It was really quite a simple thing to resolve. Another example is someone, actually I use the example a lot, but my dentist, she had migraines and shoulder pain in her right side. And she thought it was because of her posture, because she was up like this in people's mouths doing dentistry work. And when I looked at it, that wasn't the reason. Basically what happened was that about 3 years before, she damaged her left arm, actually broke it and had it pinned and bolted. And because she was not confident with this anymore, because it was weaker, she'd started using the whole right side of her body for everything else. So it's poor movement. She wasn't using her body correctly. This is what I mean. This is what I mean about movement. Movement is very important. So because she was using the right side for everything, her left side was getting weaker, the right side was getting more tense, and this is where all the pain was coming from. So all I did, I spent a few weeks strengthening the left arm, giving her confidence back in it, loosening this side and getting her to use the left arm more, and within about 5 weeks, all her pain had gone and she was totally okay, and she still is today. So movement is very important. The way we use our bodies is really important. Another guy who springs to mind is a guy who came to see me many years ago when I first started, suffering with sciatic pain. Now this guy had been seeing a chiropractor for years about his slipped disc, and he was seeing him once or twice a week, and the disc wasn't getting any better. And then all of a sudden he got sciatic pain, and so he got referred to me. The chiropractor couldn't help with that for some reason. And I only saw the guy twice. I saw him twice, that was it. I released the sciatic nerve, so he felt better. But I gave him some advice on his disc. Because if you keep having chiropractic movements on a slipped disc, it can sometimes get worse because you're just overstretching the ligaments, so you don't want to do that. You want to strengthen the spine. And all I did was show him two things. Now, bear in mind, this guy was a golfer and he wanted to play golf, but his chiropractor told him he shouldn't be doing that. Now, I disagree with things like that. Most of the people who I see, I get them back to doing the sports that I know they can do and they should do. But often people get told they can't do things. And this guy had been told he shouldn't play golf. So I showed him how to do two things. I firstly showed him how to strengthen his core muscles. So the little tiny muscles that wrap around his spine, not his abs, but the core muscles around his spine. I showed him how to strengthen those, not just on a daily basis, but also when he plays golf. I showed him how to strengthen his core. And I showed him how to stand and sit correctly, because when I looked at him, I realised that he was sitting and standing using his back and not his legs, which meant he kept pulling his back and he kept pulling on the disc, because when he sat and stood up, he was using his back to stand up and not pushing with his legs. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but he wasn't using his legs correctly, and this was the root cause of his slipped disc. So what he'd been doing, he'd been seeing a chiropractor for years, and the chiropractor was dealing with the symptoms of the disc, but once we looked at the cause, which was poor movement in his case, it went away. And I know it did because I saw him a year later with a completely different problem, and he told me he hadn't been back to the chiropractor, he was still playing golf, and his back hadn't hurt him once. So just give him a really couple of simple bits of advice on how to move better solved his back problem and his sciatica in the same moment. So movement is very, very important. The way we use our bodies and the way we move often leads or is the cause of chronic pain. So I hope that video has been informative and useful. I hope you understood that. There is a lot to it, and it's not as simple as that. I don't expect you to be able to analyse your own poor movements, but just want you to realise that actually one of the causes of pain is poor movement. So you may be doing things that you're totally unaware of, and all these people I described, they were unaware of it until I looked at them. You may be totally unaware of what you're doing, but it could be the cause of your pain. If you do have any questions, if you think it might be, or you think it sounds like a possibility for you, and you want to ask me a question, then please email me, or if you're in the UK, you can call me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can. Until next time, stay happy, keep smiling, stay healthy, and I will see you on another video.